What up, my devil sensei-tutum, with another video for you. This week, we have this juicy price action on the S&P 500 to talk about, and the impact that it's going to have on all of the financial markets. It's a big deal. So this is going to be a very important video. I'm going to try to hit it and get it. I say that every week, but I mean it. I'm only going to talk about this one asset, except for the fact that I'm going to make a declaration about Bitcoin, but I'm not going to look at the chart. You're going to have to follow me on Twitter if you want to see the chart update, because I went pretty in depth last week on Bitcoin. I'm going to let Sam, there's a lot to talk about, and you know, Sam updates Bitcoin every single week on here, and when there's something big to talk about, I'm going to let the man talk. But I'll make my declaration. You can follow me on Twitter at sensei-tutum, and you know, when I get around to it, I'll post a chart and you'll see my thoughts there. But I'll make a declaration here. So we've pretty much been following this count all the way along, right? I mean, it's been playing two key to par, I should say, and we have had resolution of a double zigzag to this point. But the primary expectation has been that we will reach this area and then retrace down, right? We had two scenarios within here highlighted last week, and the resolution that we knew would come by this week would be majorly impacting on the market. We would be basically, it will trigger one of two, let's say, roadmaps that we will then take firmly in our hands and drive along with. And this is, like, as a trader, for me, one of the most important things that I can do, get a strong sense of where the market is going, and then I can trade, you know, at a larger degree, and then I can trade inside of that. So zooming out here, just wanted to show you that. We'll get back down in here to the 15-minute. The chart that I showed, or what we talked about last week, was, of course, we were down here still. I said I saw that this was playing out, and I said that I thought that we'd make it to the green box before we retraced, and then I thought we would swiftly retrace to, well, I didn't have this on the chart last week, but updated once we saw the first leg of the swift retracement. And it was a swift retracement, but we'll get into that in a second as far as Elliott wave terms, because it's a very interesting development to see this kind of price action after the proposed count. Anyway, whether my proposed count is shit or not will remain to be seen, and we'll talk about potential alternatives within what we've shown, even though we have triggered the blue count here. We show the red count, which was one. You know, this was after the video, because we said that we would, you know, swiftly go to here, and then either way it sliced, we would probably retrace to this area. We said, whether, you know, at the very least, whether it be, you know, this was the red count, which would finish a C here, you're going to get down here, right? And how did you get here? And if you finish the one, I still thought you would get down here, because that's right around the high probability area of the wave 2. Yada, yada, yada. But once we saw this first leg happen and this sideways shit off of it, we knew one of two things. It was basically going to, what was the 1-to-1 base trend channel, all of the confluences to the low side that I don't show you guys on Twitter, because, you know, this is probably too busy for Twitter. To be honest, in order to make Twitter worth my time, I need likes and retweets, right? And you guys don't like cluttered charts on there. So we got to keep it simple and pretty on there. But we talk about the good stuff here on YouTube. Anyway, once we saw this first leg play out, and this is the way it works. Like I said last week, I used my lame-ass metaphor of driving a car using the map, and then but once you get closer to your destination, you can start using your eyes, you know, looking at the road, see what's the best way to go. Well, we got a little bit closer. We could see a little bit close, more towards the end of that tunnel. We saw this first leg. So then we had these two scenarios, and I said, if we stop here, this is rough area, then, like I said, a bunch of confluences, then it was likely the blue count, the 1 instead of the C, the 2 finishing instead of this impulse wave to the downside. And then I said, if we quickly move into this area, then the odds are that the red count are greatly increased. And that's because we would have had a expanding wave for the last leg for a 3 wave instead of a C wave. However, it played out to be a C wave. And then since then, man, she's really popping off now, right? So, and what's interesting, super interesting, is that this market is starting to display traits of what it would do in a bull market, which is why one of the reasons why I sort of, you know, I tried to clarify the video update or the Twitter update that I put out today that, and it still could be, although we've had quite a bit of action since then, but we were down in here and I said, I drew it like this. I thought we would do something like this because, first of all, this was very shallow. It was very slight in comparison to that of the motive structure. However, it was adequate because it did break out, but I mean, we didn't even reach the 382 retracement. And I was talking to some guy about this, a social member in the Discord, and he's, well, it was really shallow. Yeah, and honestly, this is what you used to see in the bull times. I mean, it's this, and I always like to tell guys when I'm doing training materials and stuff, you have to know, not only do you have to know the rules and the guidelines and how they play out and what the expectation is, but remember, this theory we're teaching is to teach across all assets, right? So you really need to learn your chart and the characteristics of your chart. It's super important, and that's why you see me kind of focus on like Bitcoin and S&P. Maybe I'll find like an alts that are interesting, and I'll trade any chart with it that I see that has a great setup. But because it's really, I mean, at least for me, I like to get my pulse on a chart and just sort of roll with it. And we could go through and I could show you the history of my updates on things, and the hit rate's pretty good, so that works for me, but it wouldn't work for everyone else. Anyway, that's a sidebar. As I do, I gotta hurry this up. Like I said, I want to keep as many of you engaged, so stay with me for as long as I can. Anyway, now that this has happened, now that we've had all of this price action, I'm not exactly sure that I think that this is necessarily going to happen now, because originally I showed it this way because this was kind of looking like a sucker wave. This was kind of looking like, it would show us a flat, which this market loves to do in the bull times. So I hope I conveyed that, there wasn't a high degree of certainty there. Certainly not like I was with the blue and the red, but either way, don't want to bury the lead. The blue scenario is now locked in for me. That doesn't mean that there isn't a scenario where this C wave can move over, and then this could all be a motive wave of, an ending diagonal if it plays out as such, It could still play out a number of ways. So you're never taking anything fully off the table as far as you're never locking a future scenario in 100%. That just doesn't happen. We can't tell the future. Never will be able to. But I do feel relatively strongly, which I had said from the beginning, but based on, I from the beginning of this correction down here, I did say that, this X is still way up here, W, X, Z. I said W, Y, X, Z, which again is a pretty low probability pattern, but it has been my primary expectation, and for now it shall remain as such. So this C, where it doesn't necessarily have to be here, it can move all the way up here. But if we break through this 618, man, even this 50, I'm going to start to be very highly questionable, because remember what we said about the triple zigzag being super rare. Double zigzags, get them all the time, but the triple zigzags, so rare. Anyway, the blue scenario is locked in. I do think we're going to be on a sustained rally, and I think we just need to go ahead and track it out as we go, using Elliott, using all of the things that we like to track. So one thing I just want to point out quickly is that the algos are on this puppy. Get down here. Oops. All right, slight break, but I'm rolling with it. I'm just going to clean this up and just track this algo series quickly for you guys. And because sometimes in times like this, it's you don't want to be left behind. And if the Elliott isn't shaping out perfectly, you don't want to be too, let's say, stringent. Use whatever is coming and flowing the easiest. So here. Now, this was the larger degree that we've just met, and we are flashing big time divergence. I wanted to mention that, and it could be on triple divergence. So I do, that's why instead of potentially being this retracement that I showed as a C wave, which it still could be, I'm going to be really, and I even mentioned this to the members when I did the update, I'm going to be looking to buy any zigzag, anything that looks like a zigzag, a complete zigzag retracement, and even more so now. Just very much alerted to that. Antennas up, as I like to say. Let's just get in here on the lower degree algos. So, I mean, see, and they can have confluence literally on top of each other, and it just popped right through, no worries. We do have the pitchfork that looks like we're seeking. Seeking that on divergence, that would be a major sell signal, especially if we were to look at the slow. Yeah. On divergence and overbought on the slow stochastic, whatever you want to call it, stochastic stoch. Yeah. Overbought on 4 hour. Looks like it won't be on daily. Oh, it is. So it'll meet that all the way up to daily time frame, all the way down to 15-minute time frame, be overbought when it reaches that median. I'm not saying short, it's a sell signal. I think shorting right now would be kind of silly. You're fighting the trend at that point, right? Like I said, you want to identify the map, and that basically means the general direction that you're trying to trade. And right now, the general direction is up. However, I know many counter trend traders that do quite well, and if I were one, that could be a potential short. Especially, I mean, but I would definitely be alerting myself to the fact that we just blew right past this algo PT like it was nothing. We are diverging. All right, so that's my thoughts. The playbook is now locked in the scenario that we set forth here. Blue count that we're thinking 1, 2. Now, of course, it was quite shallow, but 1, 2. And if this plays out, let's just go ahead and hang on. Let me. I can't hide everything. I don't want to delete everything. It's usually what I do, but now you guys got me posted on Twitter, so I don't have to work again and fill the chart back up. See, this is going to project out way past this golden corner pocket. So, I mean, if this meets expectation as an impulse wave in play, and this was the 2, I'm going to have to flip it. The whole thing is over. And really, the way things are playing out with the magnitude of this wave, let's just say the circumstance of a launching point of a sideways corrective following up a diag, this thing could get going. The slight retracements, I mean, I do expect when this correction does end to be a genuine multi-year bull run. We've had, the market's been going up the last decade or so, but it's been real meh, not that great. Okay, not perfect. I expect shit's gonna get going, and maybe it'll launch sooner than we think. Don't want to get excited yet. Members have heard me say that before, that maybe I'll do a macro count again, but I think that we are going to be beginning the third of all time. And I am major bull on that. And the fact that everybody is so negative right now makes me feel even stronger that way. So that's this. We have our playbook. We're trading along. We're just going to play it wave by wave. That's what I'm going to do. Unless you're already in here. If you're trading at this degree, I like to trade down here. So, I see this finishing up. If I really wanted to trade this degree, I could, well, let's just say that I could just long any retrace. However, right now I'm going to be looking for a larger retrace than what I would want to long on this degree. If anything, I'll be looking for a nice reaction, an A1, and then potentially flipping. Now, but 2, you don't trade counter trend. We're zoomed way in compared to where we just were, weren't we? And I do like to call pivots. So this is me. This is not what I'm suggesting for you guys. Anyway, the playbook out here is at least this golden corner pocket, right? We could very well hit this median and turn over and die. We're never going to eliminate the other side completely, but it's looking fairly strong that we're in for some more sustainment on this rally. We already knew we were gonna be pretty sustained, right, to this level. We've been suggesting that since back here, you know, we've been nailing this, right? We've been long bias, and we're just going to continue to be so. We thought we might be at a turning point. We were at a precipice, and now we've sort of broken through. Things can change quickly. Remain agile. Keep those antennas up. And that's all we're going to talk about in S&P this week. The proclamation I will make, and I'm not going to show the chart, again, told you why, on Bitcoin, is that, of course, it's going to follow suit. And if you guys watched the video last week, you know what I said about if we reach certain benchmarks on Bitcoin. Haven't quite yet. But if it remains linked to this chart, as it has so well, it's going to break those benchmarks. And maybe old Toot's calling the bottom on Bitcoin soon. We'll see. If you want to watch the chart, follow me on Twitter at sensei-tutum. I'm not going to talk any more about that chart today. Watch Sam tomorrow on Trade Devil's YouTube because I'm sure he's going to have a lot to talk about. All right, boys. Toot out.